welcome to Teens Talk Politics. I'm Michaela Kells.
And I'm Richard Caldwell.
And today we're sitting down with State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tony Evers.
Hi.
To start off, we'd like to ask, what has changed in public instruction since you have become State Superintendent?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you guys for doing this. This is really cool experiment, and hopefully your viewers will get to know what this position is about and the other elected positions and politicians you're interviewing. So, good work. As an educator, I want to recognize you guys for all the work that you do.
Thank you.
You bet. So, the question was, what has changed in the last 30 years? Lots. I would say the most important change is certainly technology is obvious. I mean, technology 30 years ago wasn't anywhere near what it is today. So I think technology's made a big difference. But I think actually the biggest difference is that we expect more of students in school now than we ever had before. And a lot of people kind of talk about how this generation, your generation, isn't as well prepared as other generations. I feel it's just the opposite. I mean, to be honest with you, when I was in high school, I topped out at, I'm just trying to think what it was even called, it was like Algebra 2 in high school, and I was a pretty good math student. Now, students are getting Calculus 1, Calculus 2, the whole 9 yards, and I just think we expect more, and I think students are actually achieving at a pretty good level. So I think that's the biggest change. We have higher expectations. Also, I think as a state, we look different than we ever have before in our schools. A lot more diversity in our schools, and that's a significant change. It's even affecting schools all across the state. It's just not an urban issue or a rural issue.
All right, our next question is, how much of Wisconsin's budget is taken up by education?
Another great question. It depends on how you look at it, but I'd say if you look at all of Wisconsin's state budget, what goes to K through 12 is about 18 to 19% of the budget,
Okay.
which is a lot. I think it's one of the highest. Certainly if you take a look at all education, the higher education at the UW system, the tech college system, and us, that probably comes close to 50% of the budget for the state of Wisconsin. So people in Wisconsin, I mean, even though I think it'd be great to have more resources, the fact of the matter is people in Wisconsin really do contribute a lot to the state budget.
All right. With over 30 years devoted to public education, what is your opinion on Common Core curriculum? Can you explain some of the changes that we've seen in Wisconsin with respect to Common Core?
Sure. I think the Common Core is a good example of what I talked about before. It has higher expectations for all students, not just high school students, but K through 12. So I think that's a real important thing. It's higher expectations, but most importantly, and this is where I think it's going to play out in the classroom, is that instead of worrying about memorizing things and kind of spewing back facts and figures, all those things are kind of important. But the fact of the matter is, we'll be able to drill down and teach things at a deeper level than we've ever had before. So it's more about comprehension and understanding of theories rather than memorization of stuff. And I think that's critical. I think that's one of the common complaints that we hear from higher education is that people coming into the system, higher education, kind of know the facts and figures and the memorization of things, but the fact of the matter is they don't learn at a deeper level. That's what the Common Core is all about. And I just want to clarify one thing. You mentioned curriculum. The curriculum is different than standards. Standards are just kind of the broad outline. The curriculum is what materials are used and how it's taught. And that's determined at the local level. So, yeah, I'm excited about it. I know it's controversial, just like lots of other things are, but I think it's changing how we learn in a real significant way.
Can you explain your Every Child a Graduate, College and Career Ready program and how you plan on implementing it into Wisconsin schools?
Great. That's something we took on when I became state superintendent 6 years ago. And it's an important one because we have to make sure that every kid that graduates from high school is college and career ready, whether they go to college, whether they go right into the workforce, or go to technical college, we have to make sure they have the skills necessary. So we're actually already implementing that program where we've, as I talked before, we've changed standards in the state, and we've changed how, in some ways, how students are learning. We've created a whole new data system so that teachers have good information so that they can intervene earlier if a student's struggling. And again, this is 4-year-old kindergarten on out. So we've become a little more precise in how we teach and how we learn in the state. And we're creating systems of accountability that can help people understand how they can be the best they can be as a teacher or as a principal. And so those evaluation systems, we believe, will bear fruit in that we're really helping all the people working in the schools to be the best they can be. So we're in the process of implementing it. Overall, we feel pretty good about where we are.
Okay, what is the largest challenge as far as education as a whole in our state?
The biggest, there's two things, if I can say two. But the biggest is the achievement gap we have between kids that come from diverse backgrounds, kids of color, it's economically disadvantaged kids and their peers. It's the largest achievement gap in the country, and that's just something we can't allow to happen. So we really need to figure out how to make sure we close those achievement gaps. That's something as a state we cannot be proud of. So our teachers and principals are working real hard on that. We're making some progress, but we've got a long way to go, and this isn't just an urban issue too, it's all across the state issue. The second thing that keeps me awake at night is the fact that, just because of the kind of the political rhetoric and dialogue about education over the last few years, it's having an impact on a number of people like you that might be interested in going into the teaching profession. Our schools of education, higher ed, are seeing a dramatic decline in the number of people that are enrolling in teacher preparation. And I say that's a direct result, in my opinion, of kind of the negative rhetoric around public schools and teaching and all that. So we need to kind of tone it down, and so that people feel that it's a great profession to be involved in, because frankly, a lot of teachers, and I'm sure that's true in your school district, are my age or maybe a little older, and they're going to be not in the profession much longer. And if there's no natural pipeline of really high quality people coming up, we're going to have a mess in the state. So those are the two things: achievement gap and making sure that we have enough people going into the profession.
All right, our final question is, in your opinion, what is the biggest problem facing the youth today?
Yeah. Well, I would say, besides being politically active and knowing what's going on, and you're trying to take care of that, which I appreciate. I think for the most part, even though we do great things in our schools, kids being engaged, especially at the high school level, engaged in their work is a problem. I mean, there's just so many distractions and issues that can pull people away from what they're doing in the classroom, that I think student engagement has to be at a much higher level. I'm really pleased in some areas. I'm sure Medford has different, FFA and some of the other kind of student organizations where people really get to apply what they learn in the classroom and other settings, and I think that engages people not just in the classroom but outside the classroom. We need to have those same kind of experiences for all students in high school. So I think student engagement in their learning, and frankly, student engagement in owning their learning too, getting them involved with making decisions about what they want to learn and how they want to learn it. Every student, all three of you, have different learning styles. I think we have to really work at that to make sure that all students are engaged every day in their